If you grew up in 1987, there are some words you never really forgot. They weren't written in books. They weren't taught in school. They came from the people who raised us. They echoed through kitchens, living rooms, front porches, and back seats of family cars. They were spoken by mothers hanging laundry in the backyard, fathers fixing something in the garage, grandparents rocking gently on the porch as the evening sun disappeared. Back then, those words sometimes made us roll our eyes. Sometimes they made us laugh. Sometimes they even made us upset. But today, years later, they sound completely different. They sound like home. In 1987, life moved at a slower pace. There were no smartphones buzzing every few seconds. No social media feeds to scroll through. Conversations happened face to face. Families ate dinner together more often. Children spent hours outside riding bicycles until the streetlights came on. And parents had a collection of sayings that almost every child heard sooner or later. Money doesn't grow on trees. How many times did we hear those words? Usually right after asking for a new toy, another candy bar, or the latest video game. At the time, it felt unfair. We couldn't understand why the answer wasn't always yes. But our parents weren't trying to disappoint us. They were teaching us something much bigger than buying things. They wanted us to understand that every dollar represented hard work, early mornings, long hours, and sacrifice. Then there was the classic warning. I'll give you something to cry about. Most parents didn't actually mean it the way we feared. It was usually their way of saying, enough is enough. It was the universal signal that patience was running out. Somehow, just hearing those words could make a room go completely silent. Another favorite came every evening. When the streetlights come on, you better be home. There were no GPS trackers. No text messages asking where we were. Parents trusted us to know the time by watching the sky change colors. We raced our bicycles down sidewalks, finished one last game of tag, and hurried home before those lights flickered to life. Being late usually meant standing at the front door explaining exactly why. Many of us also remember hearing, "Were you raised in a barn?" That sentence appeared the moment someone forgot to close the front door or left the refrigerator hanging open. We never knew why barns became part of the conversation, but somehow every parent seemed to agree on this one. And who could forget dinner time? You'll eat what's on your plate. Back then, parents weren't running restaurants with endless menu choices. If meatloaf, peas, or casseroles were served, that's what everyone ate. Negotiating wasn't usually an option. Looking back, those family dinners weren't really about the food. They were about sharing time together after a busy day. Whenever we complained about being bored, parents seemed to have the same response. Go outside. That was it. No elaborate entertainment plans. No tablets loaded with games. The backyard became our adventure. A stick became a sword. A cardboard box became a spaceship. A vacant lot became an entire kingdom. Somehow, with very little, we found endless ways to imagine. If we left our bicycles in the driveway or forgot to clean our rooms, another familiar sentence arrived. I'm not your maid. Those words reminded us that everyone had responsibilities. Families worked together. Children learned to make their beds, wash dishes, rake leaves, and put things away because contributing to the household was simply part of growing up. Whenever we questioned a rule, parents often answered with the sentence every child dreaded. Because I said so. At the time, it sounded unfair. We wanted explanations. We wanted debates. But many parents believed some lessons came from trust and respect before understanding. Years later, many of us caught ourselves saying those exact same words. Saturday mornings had their own soundtrack. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Weekends weren't always for sleeping in. Lawns needed mowing. Garages needed organizing. Windows needed washing. Chores came before fun, and finishing them made the afternoon feel even more rewarding. Then there was the mysterious phrase that seemed impossible to understand. What if everyone else jumped off a bridge? It always appeared after saying, but everyone else is doing it. Parents wanted us to think for ourselves instead of following the crowd. We didn't appreciate the lesson then. Today, it feels wiser than ever. Telephone calls worked differently in 1987 too. There was usually one phone in the house, often attached to the wall by a long curly cord. Parents would remind us, "Get off the phone. Someone might be trying to call." There was no voicemail waiting. If someone called while the line was busy, they simply had to keep trying. Every conversation was shared with the whole house, whether we liked it or not. Car rides brought another unforgettable saying. "Don't make me pull this car over." Almost every child believed the car might actually stop right there in the middle of the road. Somehow, those few words restored peace faster than anything else. Parents also had a way of reminding us to appreciate what we had. There are children who would be grateful for this. Whether talking about food, clothes, or toys, they encouraged gratitude instead of taking things for granted. It wasn't about guilt. It was about recognizing blessings we often overlooked. When we made mistakes, another lesson quietly followed. Tell the truth. Parents knew honesty mattered more than perfection. Most of them could forgive accidents. It was hiding the truth that truly disappointed them. As children, many of these sayings sounded repetitive. Sometimes they even seemed annoying. We promised ourselves we'd never repeat them. Then something unexpected happened. Years passed. We grew older. Some of us became parents ourselves. One day, without even thinking about it, we heard familiar words coming from our own mouths. Close the door. Turn off the lights. Be careful. Call me when you get there. Suddenly, we understood. Those weren't just phrases. They were little expressions of love disguised as everyday conversations. Every reminder to wear a jacket came from someone worried we'd get cold. Every question about homework came from someone hoping we'd have a better future. Every curfew came from someone lying awake until they knew we were safe. The older we become, the more those voices return. Sometimes it's while cooking an old family recipe. Sometimes it's while fixing something around the house. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments when life slows down just enough for memory to whisper. Even if our parents are no longer here, their words continue living inside us. Their advice appears when we face difficult decisions. Their humor returns during family gatherings. Their lessons guide us through challenges they never imagined we'd face. That may be one of the greatest gifts they ever gave us. Not money. Not possessions. But wisdom spoken one ordinary day at a time. If you grew up in 1987, those familiar sayings probably still bring a smile to your face. They remind us of scraped knees, Saturday chores, family vacations, neighborhood friends, and simple evenings when happiness didn't need a screen or a password. Those words became part of who we are. And now, as a new generation grows up in a very different world, perhaps the greatest thing we can pass on isn't just technology or success. It's patience, kindness, gratitude, responsibility, love. The same timeless values hidden inside those unforgettable phrases our parents repeated so often. Because one day, years from now, today's children may smile as they remember the things we used to say. And just like us, they'll realize those words were never simply rules. They were gentle reminders that someone cared deeply enough to guide them through life. Some voices never truly fade. They become the quiet strength we carry forward, the love we share with others, and the memories that remind us where we came from. No matter how much the world changes, the lessons spoken with love will always find their way home, lighting the path for the generations still to come.